Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode in a new series we will call something like Lugnuts Fixes Your Network, or Network Fix, or something like that. But the point is, in this series, I'll be taking a look at user-submitted levels. So here, you could submit a level to me, let me know what you'd like me to take a look at, and I'll do my best to try and fix it, or give suggestions on how to help. And this is inspired by Biffa Plays Indie Games, who does a similar series for City Skylines, and he in turn was inspired by channel Sam Burr. So links in the description for those channels, credit where credit is due. And this series I think will be pretty helpful for people because I know that my personal style is very all-out co-op style, not very realistic, but here we'll get to look at some maps that are more in the style that people actually play. And we can still apply our OpenTTD knowledge and see how to improve these networks. So this map was submitted by GA Train, so thank you very much for being the guinea pig in this series and for your map. You can see it's an ambitious, lot of towns, 2048 by 2048 map. We have a nice passenger network with some other trains in the top quadrant. They have asked me to take a look at Brentwood Station, this main station, the namesake of the company, Brendwood. And also I guess we'll take a note that we do have a lot of GRFs on this map. We are using left-hand drive, UK style, so keep that in mind. And the signals might look a little bit unfamiliar to people, but these are all just one-way path signals, so I will try to match that style of signaling. And basically we can see at this station here, just trains backing up. I mean, there's one track in, looks like there's two different tracks out. They go to different places, but two tracks out. And the trains are just backing up. So I mean, the first thing we need to try is just getting two tracks in. The problem is that you can see there's already a track here for this nuclear reprocessing plant. So we'll take a look first if we can move this. So instead of having this be a full row, there's only one train at this station. It does not need to be a full row. You can see where that train is. It goes to the Rindinghattan Power Station over here, comes down this main line, and then connects up here. So instead of having this row, what we can just do easily is turn this into a terminus station, like so. Pick a nice looking bridge type and connect this up. We'll do 4 tile signal gap just to sort of match the style of this network, and also just path signals to keep things matched and simple. So now, actually here's that train, we can keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't get lost, but now we should be fine removing this extra set of tracks here. So actually, we should take a step back and look at the bigger picture here. And we can see that this station is sort of situated at the intersection of these two big main lines here. There's also this branch off to the east, which doesn't have too many trains, doesn't go too far. But there's also this big sort of subway with this really long tunnel here that goes all the way to the other side of the city. And that could also be a potential source of, well, traffic. It's just a huge signal gap there. So it's sort of like we have a 5-way intersection all converging on this point. You can see that it does look like this train is making its way out fine. So the first thing we'll try is just adding a second entrance to the station. I'm not putting too much thought into the spaghetti here. We'll just leave it as it is for now. And we can spam a bunch of signals here like is done here. It can help a little bit to get trains accelerating a little bit sooner, but it doesn't really solve the problem. Let me just stop all these trains. And we will redistribute these tracks a little bit. So we'll have the, let's see, I guess this is the left 4. Go to the left. And make sure they don't crash. And I guess the right 3 go to the right, and this could be enough to solve the traffic problem. Let's see, just let this run out for a little bit. So actually, this exit 2 is a bit of an issue. it does seem like this bridge is causing a bottleneck, but actually it looks like the traffic is further down over here. You can see we have this big bridge crossing. Sorry, I was just making the bridges all look the same. And these trains are all wanting to take the left bridge. So ideally we want the trains to alternate between the left and the right bridge, use them evenly. But if we look further down, I did take a quick look at this earlier. You can see it might be because they're just trying to hit this station, and this station doesn't exist on both tracks, only on the leftmost track. So what I'm going to do is first back here, give trains choice between the two tracks so they don't have to choose which way they want to go way back over there. We also have, are these signals the right way? No, they weren't. We have a big signal gap there, so we can add some more signals. Also on this side as well. That'll just help a little bit. And then that means back here, let's add some more signals. Back here we can actually just have the trains alternate, or basically get to pick which bridge they take. So no signals here. If you put a signal here, that means a train can pick the wrong quote unquote bridge. But if you have no signals there, a train will have to pick a bridge that is empty, and that'll help speed up those trains. You can see there's still some issues of them trying to hit up all these stations, but that should move this problem further away from our mess over here. Now if we do look at this, it does seem like this hasn't solved the problem. Still lots of trains backing up even though we have two entrance tracks. It does seem like perhaps this big crossover here is just causing too much interference between trains. So the next thing I'd like to try is trying to get rid of that interference. So right now we have two tracks in on the left, two tracks out on the right. I mean, these are two different tracks out, but you got the point. Is this train really trying to go that way? That's sort of interesting. So, I mean, we have these trains hitting Brendwood City Link. I don't think they actually want to go to Brendwood Valley Street. So Brendwood City Link here, I don't see any order for the other station. So that's also another thing when you're designing your rails, it's really not ideal to have a track branching out from another station, basically like this. But as I was saying, what I want to try to do to remove some of these extra crossovers, you can see like a train like this, when it's crossing over, it's just going to block every single track. So what we'd like to do instead is have one track in, one track out, one track in, one track out, and then we can sort of get rid of some of these crossovers that cause trains to go all the way across. And so they can get to their exit a little bit faster, get out of the way a little bit faster. But that is going to be tricky to fit in. So the first thing we need, well, one of the things we have to think about is when we have two exits, so one exit here and one exit here, at this point, we basically have a split to the east and to the west. So both of those are going to need to have choices between those two directions. So I'm going to stop those trains, and I can sort of see how we can fit this in. So this track, we can have a branch off like this. Actually, I can just do that right now. You can see we could fit it in. Oh, they just built a bridge instantly. But fit in a turn like that, and then we need a road bridge, but we can fit in a road bridge here. So that will let trains turn left on this track. So let's get rid of this exit. And now imagining, these trains are all stopped. Imagining an exit on this track, we can have one route turn left, and then even one route, I guess, go straight over somehow. But let's think, so now this is going to be the new entrance, so we can signal that. And let these trains get out of the way first, and we can see if we can sort of fit this in without having to jam up all these trains. So it seems like this track, to get over here, we're going to need a bridge like here, which means this will all have to be moved over a tile, which is fine. We can do that. We'll move this bridge again. This bridge here will need an extra tile, so we'll do that as well. And just move that split further back and make that bridge one tile longer. So now we can see this track has one more tile of space, which is all we need to sort of bridge this over at this point, except we need these trains to get out of the way. So we'll have a bridge here, and then I guess we'll have all these tracks merged together before the bridge. Something like this. It's facing the wrong way. And we'll need to just let this train get over. Oh, let's not crash these trains, please. I could see that path reservation. These trains want to crash. This one too. I want to just connect up this last track if I can. Okay, so that one's going to go. Connect this one up too. Should be okay-ish. And then we can see that this exit also needs to turn to the right, so we'll put another bridge here. And we can just actually just have a crossover, for example, right there, and that should be good for the exit. Or, you know, at least decent for the exit. Let's make sure we have some good signals there. So now in this situation, we're actually pretty good. For example, we could rearrange this now so that, let me just add some more signals here. We could rearrange this so that for example, the left 3 platforms were served by the left pair of tracks and the right 3 platforms were served by the right pair of tracks. The one problem that we still have is this extra branch to the giant tunnel. Yeah, so before we go any further, let's take a look at these trains and see exactly where they're trying to go and see if perhaps we could build a bypass for them. So this one's heading to just hit Brendwood City Link, and it came from Rartfield South. So let me see. Yeah, so that's over here. So these trains, I guess, are all coming from this bridge and crossing over and sort of having to get around the station. See, do they come back a different route? Yeah, so we have Brendwood City Link, and then they go back to Rartfield South. So they always sort of take this route, the left turn here. So we ideally would like to find a route for them that doesn't involve this set of platforms here, so we could separate the set of platforms. But that might not be possible without basically demolishing a significant amount of the city, which I'd like to avoid doing. I was thinking even we could try tunneling over. Given how long this tunnel is, we're not really worried about adding some more long tunnels. We could somehow tunnel underneath here and tunnel underneath here. Might not be that realistic either, though. Could be, you know, suboptimal in that way. So I'm thinking, you know, what should we do about that? For now, let's just say we'll accept that some number of trains from both of these 2 tracks are going to want to turn right. So, I mean, one thing we can do is we can actually get rid of this 2-way path signal here. If we check that, you can see there's a railroad track with path signal. It doesn't say one-way, it's just a 2-way path signal. You don't actually need 2-way path signals at a terminus station. At a RoRo station, you do, but not at a terminus, since when the trains turn around, they will try to reserve a path as if they were at a signal. So we can get rid of this extra little bump. Add another signal here. Well, we don't really want to add another signal here since we don't want a train to stop there and block everything. So these are 4 tile long trains. We'd ideally have 4 tiles of space for them so they don't block anything here. We can accept that trains from this route will be turning left here and trains from this route will be turning left here. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to let all these trains get out of the way. You can see there's some weird stuff going on just because of this crossover. It's not properly thought out. And we'll just rebuild this from our main principles that we were thinking of. So basically this left track, we want it to reach the left 3 platforms, but we also want it to be able to take the tunnel route as well. So we can try that. This track here, we want to be able to reach the rightmost. Now you can see that because of the way this is set up, this will let the left track also reach the right set of tracks, which is not ideal, but we'll have to live with that. And then for the exits, you can see we can connect up those 3 to this exit and then these 3 to this exit, like so. We actually end up with some decent gaps here. So I'm going to move up these path signals. So this will give a place for trains to stop. Otherwise, like I said, when they turn around, they will try to reserve a path, but that means they'll be basically waiting back here. While if we add these signals here, they'll be waiting a little bit closer, which is better. So let's let these trains go and see if this helps. I also like to straighten out this track a little, make it look a little nicer. So you can see now that we did separate the 2 pairs of 3 platforms pretty well, I think. So you can see there's less trains that are crossing all across all the other tracks when they don't need to. You can see that train sort of blocked up the crossover. This train as well, not ideal. Might want to try adding some more signals around here. But with a little bit of luck, this should help clear up the jam once we let it run a bit longer. Is these trains still stopped? Yeah. So it is clearing up a little bit, but not completely. You can see on this exit as well, trains aren't actually able to make it through Rartfield South. So I wonder if there's some other issue. But I don't want to do too much searching for random order things and stuff like that. We can just add some more signals so the trains have a little bit more space to bunch up, but that doesn't really fix anything. I think it's slowly clearing, but it looks like it might not clear up fully. So one thing we can note that's instructive is that just adding more tracks where trains are jammed doesn't actually help. This just gives, all these tracks here just give trains more space to wait. And sometimes you do need, it does help to give trains more space to wait. That means if you have like a unexpected cluster of trains coming, that they can sort of even themselves out in this waiting area. But in general, it's not going to fix the actual problem. You have to find the actual bottleneck. You can see here these trains are blocking each other on the exit, which is not ideal. Crossing over here is a bit of a problem. It looks like they're blocking each other. So we can try and fix this by building a proper crossover, or even just adding some more signals on this route, it looks like. I know this might ruin the realism to some extent. We can also remove some of the signals on this exit, making sure trains don't crash. So we can see when we remove signals, we can remove enough so that when this train is stopped right here, it won't actually block other trains. Yeah, it just seems like this crossover here is causing enough interference with trains going back and forth to block up the exit to the station. So this is something that isn't that unexpected. When you improve the entrance to the station, now more trains are getting through, but now the exit is what's jamming up since more trains are getting through. So let's replace this crossover with a bridge setup. Let me stop some of these trains. Seems like even over here is where they are jamming up. Just do this long bridge and this crossover now. Or just these large signal gaps. It's preventing enough trains from making it through. Oh, there's like a big gap here as well. So I mean, that does not help. I mean, you don't have to go all the way to like two tiles per signal like I do in my maps, but at least like one signal per train length is best. So we can get these moving a little bit better. Okay, so this is all jammed up because I stopped these trains. Let's do this crossover. So, we're gonna need one more tile of space somewhere. Because essentially we're thinking we can have like a bridge over here, for example, and a split like this. But of course this is going to need another tile of space. Even back to there. And then I'm just going to, well, these will be the left turns. So this will be towards the big bridge. And then this route will be towards the main line to the north, or the northwest. So it's a little suboptimal since there's not a full waiting bay space here, but it should be better than just the X crossover. And hopefully this might help clear things up now. It does seem like the queue is slowly draining. Did I stop this train, or where is this train trying to go? It's trying to cross over all the way, but it's stuck since it has to cross over all of the other tracks. So that's causing a major issue here. Perhaps we should make all the trains that want to go through the tunnel. This train's trying to get to the tunnel, I'm sure. Take this left route. And that could solve some problems. So let's try that actually. I'm thinking we can just add a track right here that will go to the tunnel. But we'll need to do a little bit of terraforming for that. Like this. Actually, I have to terraform all of this. You can see now this track coming off has sort of a more dedicated route. Put a signal there. And then this exit here, we can get rid of this turn. And actually, that looks okay-ish. So that might cause that train to get lost, but now you can see we do have truly two separate platforms. And actually, should rearrange that a little bit. Two separate sets of platforms. And it's starting to clear up, I think. I think we have a lost train here. This one's trying to go to Rartfield South, which is over here. I think it has the wrong, well, let's see. There's no trains in front of it, so it must have the wrong track type. See, this is 750 volt DC third rail, and this is this is 25K OHLE rail. I don't know what that is, but this train is causing a jam for us. So we can turn it around, I guess, and let that one escape. Things like this don't usually play with different track types like this, so that's something that is a issue that people might run into that I normally wouldn't. Hopefully that helps clear things up. Can even move these crossovers closer to the station just to get these trains in and out a little bit faster. Like this. We can add in some more signals there. And even same on this side. We don't want to make these platforms longer than they have to be, since that means trains take longer to get through. So like this, for example, is a little bit better. Okay, trains are backing up again. But once we let it run, maybe they might clear up. Alright, so now we have a interesting situation. You can see that trains have all cleared up from the left route, but not the main line here. So we have to consider that. Now we do have a lot of space here, so we can actually build something to give the trains choice whether they want to go to the left or the right route. We'll stop these trains and just demolish this spaghetti here. Now, let's just build something so the trains don't get lost, but here. So we have, this bridge here, we don't need 3 bridges here. 2 bridges is fine since we have 2 bridges on this part. Get rid of one of those tracks. So essentially it looks like we have 4 tracks in. Looks like this one probably wants choice between the two entrances to the station. Can do that pretty easily. So now it can get a choice between the other two. It can bridge over here, for example. Back this up a little bit. Bridge over here, maybe. So like this is probably pretty hard to figure out what I'm trying to do exactly. But I'm just trying to mix up the tracks a little. We have one entrance here, and I'm trying to give the tracks that are incoming choice between those two. So you can see now that these trains get choice. This train goes to the left, since these 2 tracks are from the same direction, so I want these trains to go to the right. So now those ones have choice. And then these trains, it doesn't seem like there's too many trains coming from this direction. So it might not be that important to give them choice, but we can do it anyway. We can see we can bridge over here, rearrange this a little bit. And now they can either go to the left or go to the right once this track is connected. And I know this might not be super realistic to how you'd actually do it in a busy rail yard in England, but we are just trying to fix this jam. And it does seem like that was enough to fix this. Once we speed it up a little. And yeah, that was plenty. So it seems like this station has pretty much cleared up. So I guess some instructional takeaways from this this experiment here, this project. You know, when there's other unrelated tracks like this nuclear reprocessing plant route, find a way to move it somewhere else, get it out of the way so you have more space. Avoid having these splits so close to a station like this. You can see it's still like that, but we did improve it a little bit by rearranging things. Don't just add tons of tracks to add waiting bays, unless, you know, that doesn't really solve the actual problem itself. We could add another signal here. And also, once you have a station that has more than 4 or 5 platforms, definitely consider trying to split it up into effectively 2 separate stations like this. That helps a lot to avoid trains crossing over all the other tracks and blocking other trains. And now also, like, this tunnel is a little bit long, but it seems like the trains are spaced out just evenly enough to be okay with that. But in general, might try to avoid that. But yeah, I think that'll do it. We also doubled up the bridge here effectively by moving the split further down. So yeah. And actually, I guess one last thing. Because the trains that are trying to get to Brendwood CityLink, they are all coming from this direction, from Martfield South. That means that at this point, they're always going to want to take the right route here, because they're going to need to get over to this side. So I'm just going to add, I guess, one more crossover choice here, so they can switch at the last moment if they need to. But yes, that's going to do it for this episode. Everything's cleared up, so it's looking good. But yeah, if you want to have your network featured in this series, then click the, you can join the Discord in the description of this video. You can straighten this out a little bit. But yeah, submit it there. I don't know how many people will submit, so it might take a while to get through everyone. It might build up a little queue, but we'll see. But thank you for understanding that. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.